Take a slow breath in. Feel it glide through your chest, soft, unhurried. Hold it there, just for a heartbeat. Then let it drift out through your lips, like mist leaving the desert at dawn. You don't need to try to sleep. Just breathe. Let the air move. Let the mind float where it wishes to go. Somewhere beyond the edge of the Persian Gulf, the first sands of Elam shimmered under the moonlight. A single clay lamp burned in the dark, its flame small but steady. It flickered beneath an ocean of stars, the same stars that now hover quietly above you. Listen. The night wind carries their story. Through the valleys of Khuzestan, through the ruins of Susa, through temples where priests once whispered to gods made of gold and dust. Every breath you take is older than time. It has passed through mountains, through rivers, through the lungs of kings and the sighs of farmers. And now it returns, calm, ancient, familiar. You're safe here. The night is kind. Let the past wrap around you like warm sand. Let your heart beat slow with the rhythm of the desert wind. We begin our journey through Elam, a kingdom born before memory. Its rise will come like the sunrise, gentle and slow. Its fall will fade like the last echo of a prayer. Somewhere, a clay lamp still glows. Somewhere, a star still watches. And time drifts softly in your hands. Inhale. Exhale. Let the quiet take you deeper. The gates of Elam open, and the night begins to sing. Breathe in, gently. Feel the air touch the inside of your chest like silk against stone. Now let it drift away, slower than thought, slower than time. Somewhere deep beneath the sand of southwestern Iran, the land begins to stir. Before the empires, before the names carved in clay, there was only light and river, the slow awakening of the world that would one day be called Elam. The sun rose over a pale horizon, spilling gold into the mist, touching the marshes near the Persian Gulf. And in that stillness, the first fires of home began to glow. They say the earliest dwellings were woven from reeds, standing quietly along the water's edge. The people moved with the tide, their lives bound to the breath of the earth itself. Every morning, the river hummed softly beneath the fog, carrying stories that had not yet found words. And when night came, the stars returned, ancient and patient, to keep their silent watch. The air was warm and kind. Hands shaped wet clay into bowls. Feet pressed the mud of the rivers into paths that would later become roads. Every gesture, every pattern, was slow, as though the people already knew the value of quietness. Close your eyes and imagine the sound of those first steps. Bare feet brushing reeds, the hum of insects at dusk, a woman's voice calling across the water, her tone blending with the wind. Nothing hurried, nothing forced, only the rhythm of breath, the same rhythm that moves through you now. Somewhere, a small flame trembles within a clay lamp. Its smoke rises in thin threads, curling like thought, drifting toward the stars. Perhaps a child watches it, wondering if that smoke carries prayers to something higher, or if it is simply a way to speak to the night. The first dawn of Elam was not marked by conquest or crown. It was marked by stillness, by the slow realization that human hands could shape earth, and earth could shape destiny. The river gave fish and clay, the wind gave songs, and the moon gave time. From these gifts, a people began to dream. The dreams were small at first. A roof that would not fall, a harvest that would return, a child who would see another dawn. But from small dreams, great histories are born. And the land, still soft with dew, began to remember. In the shadow of distant mountains, voices rose together in the first murmur of community. They built hearths, dug wells, traced the stars for guidance. And slowly, their nights filled with meaning. When they looked upward, they saw not just light, but the reflection of their own hearts, flickering, fragile, eternal. The clay lamp burned on. Its glow trembled in the wind, yet never went out. It was the breath of Elam, the quiet, pulsing heart of a world that was only beginning to know itself. Now, take another breath. Let your shoulders fall. Feel the air pass through you, steady and calm. The first dawn is always soft. It does not shout. It does not command. It simply opens its eyes and waits for the world to wake. In that waiting, Elam found its peace. The reeds whispered, the river gleamed, and the sky deepened into shades of violet and gold. Somewhere, a potter smoothed his clay, the mark of his thumb pressed forever into history. Somewhere, a woman hummed to her child, and the lullaby became the sound of civilization. The night folds around you now. You are standing beside that same river. You can hear the soft hum of insects, the gentle lap of water against stone. Let it fill your chest with quiet. Let it flow through you as it flowed through them. Breathe in, hold, and let it go. The first dawn of Elam is rising, and with it, the long sleep of history begins to drift, softly, into light. Take another soft breath. Let your chest rise just a little, and fall again like the gentle tide of a river. Your shoulders loosen. Your arms grow light, almost weightless. The night is watching, and you are safe beneath it. In ancient Elam, the rivers ruled the rhythm of life. They flowed from the mountains down into the fertile plains, shimmering under the moon like ribbons of silver glass. To the east stretched the Zagros range, deep and solemn. To the west, the distant gulf murmured, breathing salt and mystery into the air. People built their lives beside these waters. They listened to the sounds of frogs at dusk, the call of cranes overhead, and the slow sigh of the current wrapping around their homes. When the wind moved, it carried the scent of mud and grain. When it stopped, even the air seemed to rest. The Elamites learned early that the river was more than a giver of food. It was a mirror of time. Every ripple told a story. Every reflection held the sky. Children threw pebbles into the shallows and watched the circles widen, believing they might touch the heavens through the water's face. In that shimmer, day and night traded secrets. As you listen, imagine sitting at the river's edge. The air is cool against your skin. The moon drifts through thin clouds, its light touching the surface like silk. The water hums quietly, not loud, not demanding, only steady. You breathe with it, in as the river flows forward, out as it ebbs away. They say the people of Susa, long before palaces and kings, would gather by firelight to tell their stories. The voices mingled with the songs of night birds, and the sky mirrored every word. Perhaps one of them looked upward then, at that endless blue-black sea of stars, and whispered a wish. That wish might still be drifting, circling above you now. Your arms soften further. The space between your fingers loosens. You no longer need to hold anything. The earth holds you. The Elamites believed that rivers were alive, that each stream had a spirit, quiet and kind. They offered small gifts: a carved shell, a pinch of grain, a single petal set afloat. When the water carried it away, they smiled, knowing the offering would find its way to the great unseen. Now, the sky begins to change. The stars brighten like scattered embers, their reflections rippling through the water. Above, clouds drift like sails. Below, the river carries the night itself. Everything is in motion, slow, circular, eternal. A potter kneels by the shore, washing clay from his hands. The current curls around his fingers, taking the day's labor downstream. He feels it, the coolness, the surrender. In that moment, he knows that creation and rest are the same rhythm seen from different sides. Let your breath follow his. Draw it in softly. Feel your arms grow heavy now. Pleasantly so. Let the weight sink into the bed beneath you, like stones resting at the bottom of a calm stream. No tension, no effort. Only the quiet flow. Somewhere in the distance, a flute begins to play, a sound so faint that it could be wind through hollow reeds. The melody rises, then falls, weaving through the dark. It carries a language older than speech, a hymn to the moon and the moving tide. The people listen. They smile without words. For them, night was not the end of the day. It was the beginning of rest. They believed dreams were gifts from the river of the sky, sent down each night to water the roots of the soul. When they closed their eyes, they imagined floating, their spirits moving between stars and streams, returning at dawn like birds. And so the people of Elam slept easily. Their world was small, but it was whole. The sky above and the river below were one breath, rising and falling forever. Now, breathe with them. Inhale through your nose, soft and full. Pause. Exhale through parted lips, long and slow. The river moves through you. The sky opens within you. You are drifting now, between water and starlight, between the past and the silence that holds it. Let the current carry you a little further downstream. Let go of the day. Let go of the noise. The river hums. The sky listens. And in their calm reflection, you are already halfway to sleep. Breathe in slowly. The air moves through your chest, quiet and steady. Now let it go, the way a candle sighs when its flame bends to the wind. The night over Susa is deeper now. The stars burn like drops of gold suspended in black water. Below them, the first walls of Elamite stone begin to rise. They are not yet grand, just shapes of baked clay and mud brick, warm from the hands that formed them. But each wall carries something more than shelter. It carries belief. The people of Elam had learned that the land could remember. Clay kept the touch of a potter's fingers. Stone held the echo of a builder's breath. And so they began to raise temples, not merely to house gods, but to speak to the silence. The silence was the same that filled the desert after dusk, immense, listening, patient. The walls gleamed faintly in the starlight, pale as bone, soft as memory. Each one was brushed with river water before the mortar dried, a blessing of life within stone. Inside, lamps flickered. Their flames trembled in rhythm, painting the walls with thin shadows that moved like breathing. From a distance, it must have looked as though the city itself was alive. Inhaling, exhaling, glowing from within. The Elamites believed that every light was a voice. Each flame carried a wish, a story, or a question. They did not pray for power or conquest. They prayed to be seen, to be remembered by the stars. Now, let your own breath join theirs. Inhale gently. Let the light expand in your chest. Exhale slowly. Let it soften into warmth that spreads through your body. In those early nights, the builders sang as they worked. The rhythm of hammers became the rhythm of the heart. Their songs rose with the scent of clay and oil, blending with the hum of crickets in the fields. Even the children joined, their laughter echoing between the unfinished walls. In that laughter, the city learned to dream. When dawn came, the first rays touched the white surfaces of Susa's temples. The clay absorbed the light and gave it back in soft, amber tones. It was as if the city had caught fire, not with heat, but with serenity. They called it the hour of the god's breath, when light and dust met halfway. As you imagine it, let the warmth of that light fall over you. Let it trace the shape of your face, your shoulders, your chest. It moves slowly, not to wake you, but to soothe you. You are the temple now. Your breath is the lamp. Your heartbeat, the sound of prayer. But every creation carries a whisper of longing. Even the builders of Susa, surrounded by beauty, felt it. They looked beyond the horizon, toward lands unseen, wondering what waited there. Their curiosity was gentle, but persistent, the same quiet tension that moves the sea toward the shore. They were not restless, they were reaching. The priests spoke of a divine flame that lived inside each human, a spark of the eternal. When the body slept, that flame would rise like smoke, wander among the stars, and return before dawn. That was how dreams were born, messages carried in reverse. The stars spoke, and people listened. Now, close your eyes. Feel the same glow within you. It is small, but steady. It does not need tending, it only needs space. Your hands rest beside you. Your chest rises and falls like the gentle rhythm of ancient work. In the silence between breaths, imagine walking through the half-built temples of Susa. The walls breathe with you. The lamps tremble like quiet hearts. A breeze moves through the open doorway, carrying the scent of clay and oil. You step inside, and the sound fades, all but the soft crackle of flame. You realize the light was never outside you. It was always within, waiting for the night to be still enough to notice. Inhale. Let the light fill you. Exhale. Let the weight of the day dissolve into air. The walls of light hold steady around you now. The stars above mirror their glow, one world reflecting another. The builders rest. The city sleeps. And within its quiet heart, the flame endures, small, eternal, alive. Breathe in softly through your nose. Feel the air slide down into your chest and further to your stomach. Hold it there for a heartbeat. And now, let it drift back out, as though the wind itself were exhaling through you. The night has grown quiet above Susa. The temples no longer echo with the clang of tools or the murmur of builders. Only the slow rhythm of distant wind remains, brushing over stone, over clay, over the forgotten footprints of those who once worked by lamplight. This was the age of balance, the long golden stillness of Elam. The wars of its neighbors rose and fell like distant tides, but here, the air stayed calm. The fields ripened under the sun. The rivers carried song instead of sorrow. In this age, the Elamites learned the secret rhythm between earth and sky, the art of doing nothing more than what was needed. They built canals that whispered softly through the plains. They traded with the far lands of the Indus and the valleys of Sumer. Yet every act of creation began and ended with silence. The silence was not emptiness. It was balance, the still point between one breath and the next. Let that stillness move through you now. Let your spine sink into the bed beneath you, each vertebra resting in its own rhythm. The muscles along your back release. The tension beneath your ribs uncoils. Your stomach softens like sand after rain. They said the gods of Elam were calm gods, watchers, not rulers. They did not demand sacrifice, only remembrance. Each home had a small altar, where a lamp burned each night until dawn. When the flame went out, it was said that the god had gone walking among the people. The priests recorded time not in battles, but in harvests and moons. Their calendars flowed with the pulse of the seasons, and each year began with a moment of quiet thanks. They spoke little of death. They spoke instead of return, how all things come back in softer form. A fallen leaf becomes the color of soil. A voice fades into the hum of the world. A life, once spent, becomes air again. You breathe that air now. You are part of that return. Imagine standing at the edge of the great plain. The horizon glows violet in the last light. The sound of water murmurs close by, steady, rhythmic. A heron glides overhead, its wings cutting through dusk like a brushstroke. Somewhere, a bell rings, slow, hollow, ancient. Each sound fades before the next begins. Nothing overlaps. Nothing rushes. Even the world seems to breathe in time with you. In the evenings, the people of Elam gathered outside their homes to share the day's quiet. They sat on woven mats, lit a single lamp, and watched its glow touch the faces of their children. Sometimes they sang, but often they simply sat, listening to the hum of night insects and the far-off rustle of palms. The act of stillness became their form of wisdom, to know when to stop, when to rest, when to listen. Close your eyes. Let the memory of that quiet settle in your own chest. You don't have to be still. Stillness is already finding you. The age of balance was not an age of perfection. It was an age of acceptance. The Elamites did not fight against the world's changes. They moved with them. They understood that to keep the lamp burning, one must sometimes let the oil run low so that light can be renewed. Take another breath. Let it reach the middle of your back. Hold. Then let it go, slowly. Your body sinks deeper. Your mind loosens its hold. The stars above Susa shine brighter now. They lean over the earth like guardians of quiet. The lamps below answer in flickers, echoing the heavens, small lights mirroring great ones. And in between them lies balance, the sacred stillness that connects what is above and what is within. You are in that stillness now. You are the lamp and the light, the river and the sky. No more effort, no more thought, only breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Let the ancient calm of Elam cradle your spine, your ribs, your heart. The age of balance endures, not in stone, but in every breath that follows silence. Breathe in gently, the way dawn breathes over the desert. Let the air rise through your chest, warm as sunlight. And as you exhale, let that warmth drift outward, a quiet light expanding from within. The age of balance slowly blossomed into the age of glory. In the valleys of Elam, grain shimmered like gold beneath the wind. The rivers ran full, carrying the laughter of traders and the scent of faraway lands. And the temples of Susa, once humble walls of clay, now rose higher, adorned with glazed bricks of blue and white. The lamps still burned, but now their flames danced in halls wide enough to echo. Elam had learned peace, and from peace came beauty. Artisans carved figures of gods with gentle faces and inlaid them with lapis and copper. The hum of looms filled the courtyards as women wove cloth so fine that it caught the faint light of the stars. Every craft became a quiet hymn of gratitude. Yet within the calm, pride began to bloom, not loud, but steady, like fire growing beneath sand. For the first time, the people began to ask if their light could reach beyond their borders. They looked westward, toward the fertile plains of Sumer and Akkad, and eastward, toward the lands beyond the mountains. Curiosity turned to confidence, confidence to ambition. At night, the rulers of Susa would climb the temple stairs to watch the sky. They saw the constellations move, the same ones that had guided their ancestors. But where the elders saw eternity, the kings saw destiny. They believed the stars themselves were beginning to favor Elam. Imagine standing there at the top of that temple, the wind tugging gently at your robe. The city below flickers with lamplight. The air tastes of stone and spice. You can feel the pulse of the world under your feet, as if the earth itself were breathing with you. Breathe in. Hold the air in your chest. Feel its weight, its strength. Now exhale. Let the pride go, like smoke from a quiet flame. The Elamites sent envoys and traders to distant cities. They carried copper and textiles, beads of turquoise and carved stone seals. Their names appeared on tablets written in strange scripts, their stories carved into the archives of other empires. Elam was no longer hidden. It had become a voice among voices. In this time, they built the ziggurat of Shogha-Zanbil, a mountain of baked clay reaching for the heavens. It gleamed like a staircase of amber and gold, each tier kissed by the light of dawn. When the priests climbed its slopes, they said the gods could hear them more clearly. And from its summit, they could see far beyond their borders, into lands both beautiful and uncertain. The ziggurat was their mirror to the sky. It rose from the earth as if to say, "We, too, remember the stars." But the higher it reached, the more the wind began to whisper, not of praise, but of warning. History always breathes in circles. Balance becomes growth. Growth becomes pride. And pride, if left unchecked, becomes the shadow of its own light. The priests knew this. That is why they left the lamps burning even in daylight, reminders that all brightness begins and ends with flame. A flame cannot rise forever. It must bow to the wind or vanish in its own hunger. Now let that thought rest within you. Let the air in your lungs grow calm again. Feel your chest loosen, your heart slow. You don't need to hold the fire, just its warmth. The people of Elam continued to build, to trade, to dream. But in the quiet spaces between their songs, the old gods began to murmur. They had seen empires rise before and fall again, as predictably as breath itself. The river still flowed, patient as ever. The wind still drifted through the palms. Only the silence had changed. It had learned to wait. Breathe in. Listen. You can almost hear it. The faint hum beneath the beauty. It is not fear. It is the echo of pride. The moment before the dream begins to tremble. Now exhale. Let the thought dissolve. Let it fade into quiet acceptance. The lamp still glows. The stars still shimmer. But somewhere beyond the horizon, the wind begins to shift. Sleep in that stillness, for the balance holds just for a little while longer. Breathe in, slowly. Let the air move through your stomach, deep and low. Hold it for a heartbeat, and then let it slip away, like water seeping into sand. You are safe. The night is listening. The lamps of Elam still burned, but their light had begun to flicker. The wind from the western plains carried unfamiliar scents, bronze, salt, and dust. From the horizon came the faint tremor of hooves, the echo of voices speaking other tongues. At first, the people thought it was only the wind, wandering from distant lands. But the silence that followed was heavier than before, a silence that waited. Susa, once wrapped in songs, now listened too carefully. The rivers still glimmered, but their waters had begun to run shallow in summer. The air hung thick with heat, and even the palms leaned toward the ground. Something was changing, not suddenly, but in the slow way that sleep overtakes a weary mind. In the courtyards, the old priests lit their lamps earlier each evening. They prayed to the same gods, but the oil burned faster, the wicks shorter. And when the wind passed through the temple doors, the flames bent low, as though bowing to an unseen guest. Let your breath follow theirs now. Breathe in a little deeper. Let your belly expand with air. Exhale, slow, easy. Let the tension fall from your lower back, your hips, your legs. Feel yourself sink into the quiet earth beneath you. The kings of Elam sent word to the borders. Watch, but do not fear. The scribes still carve their tablets, The merchants still filled the markets. But even in their laughter, there was a thinness, a kind of distance. People spoke of signs, stars that dimmed, the river that changed course, the birds that flew west and did not return. In the evenings, the city seemed to pause between breaths. No one said it aloud, but all could feel it. That subtle imbalance between the flame and the dark. The same balance that had made Elam flourish was beginning to tilt. Close your eyes. Imagine standing by the edge of the ziggurat at dusk. The stones beneath your feet are warm from the day. The air smells of oil and dust. Below, the city glows, lamps like constellations on earth. But beyond the walls, the horizon swallows the light too quickly. A chill moves across your skin. The clay of the old temples begins to crack in the heat. Tiny lines, invisible by day, widen under moonlight. The builders patch them with mud and prayer, but still the walls whisper. They whisper of time, of cycles, of endings that come softly before they are seen. The Elamites had always believed that silence was sacred. But now, silence had changed its tone. It was no longer a calm sea. It was a breath held too long. Breathe out. Let that breath go. Let your chest empty completely. Feel your body loosen, the weight of your day drifting out of you. Some nights, the wind from the west carried a low hum, metal striking metal, faint but steady. To the north, travelers spoke of a new power rising, armies that moved like shadows through the plains. The priests said all things moved in circles, that balance would return. But the people felt a quiver beneath the earth, the pulse of something restless below the stillness. And yet, they did not fear. The people of Elam had lived through floods and droughts, through births and farewells. They understood that nothing beautiful lasts by holding tight. It lasts by learning to release. Take another breath, slow and smooth. Let your body feel heavy now. Your back settles deeper. Your breath travels lower. You are not falling. You are floating downward into quiet acceptance. Above Susa, the stars tremble like dew. The clay lamp still glows on the altar, its flame small but unwavering. Even as the air grows heavy, it remains, a single drop of light in an ocean of dark. The cracks in the walls are only the earth exhaling. The silence is only time taking its breath. And the people, still singing, still praying, drift into the rhythm of inevitability. The wind moves once more through the valley. It carries the sound of distant thunder, not near enough to wake, but close enough to remember. It murmurs over the rooftops, through the reeds, past the sleeping lamps. Breathe in, breathe out. The cracks are only the sound of history settling into place. Nothing breaks. It only changes shape. And as the night deepens, Elam dreams again, quietly, beautifully, toward its next dawn. Take one slow breath in. Let it fill your chest like the soft glow of a lantern. Hold it there, gentle, still. Now let it go. A sigh through the reeds, the way music fades when the players lower their hands. It was the last festival of Susa. No one knew it then. The lamps were lit, the river shimmered, and the air trembled with song. People from every quarter came down to the square, carrying flowers, baskets of figs, jugs of clear water drawn from the ancient wells. Children ran between stalls of woven cloth and polished copper, their laughter rising like bright sparks into the night. At the center of the city, the ziggurat stood silent, watching. Its terraces glowed in the light of 1,000 flames. From the top, the priests poured oil into the great altar bowl, and the fire rose tall, curling upward in streams of gold. They called it the breath of the gods. The people below clapped softly, their faces shining with warmth. It was not joy that filled the air that night. It was something gentler, something like gratitude wrapped in melancholy. For generations, the Elamites had celebrated this same night, the feast of the river's gift. It was the moment between harvest and rest, between one year and the next. They sang to the rivers that had fed them, to the earth that had held them, to the sky that had watched without judgment. It was a promise of peace, whispered into the dark. As you listen now, imagine standing there among them. The drums are slow, steady, not to excite, but to calm. The flutes float above, weaving with the wind. The scent of roasted grain and honey drifts through the crowd. Every sound, every movement feels part of the same long exhale of the world. Breathe with it. In, a deep, full breath. Out, a release into the still air around you. The elders sat close to the river, their hands folded in their laps. They watched the reflections of the flames ripple on the water, the same water that had carried their ancestors' dreams. They said that the river remembered everything, even the songs of those long gone. And as the moon climbed higher, they began to hum softly, an old melody older than speech. It moved through the crowd like a tide. The children fell quiet. Even the fire seemed to listen. Up on the terraces, the priests lit their clay lamps, one for each family, one for each dream. They lowered them into the river and watched them drift away, tiny islands of gold sliding into darkness. From the distance, looked as if the stars themselves had fallen into the current, floating home. Let your breath follow the lamps. Inhale, a slow, calm tide rising in your chest. Exhale, the lamp moving forward, carried by unseen hands. Somewhere in the crowd, a woman whispered to her child, "Remember this light, even when it fades." And the child, drowsy with warmth, nodded without speaking. The music softened, then slowed, until it was no more than the rhythm of hearts beating in unison. The dancers stopped, their hands still raised to the stars. The torches flickered, bending with the wind. And for a moment, the whole city seemed to hover, balanced perfectly between life and memory. That night, no one spoke of wars or kings or gods. They spoke only of gratitude, for the soil beneath their feet, for the breath that still filled their lungs, for the river that refused to forget. The Elamites had built temples and ziggurats, had written their names on tablets, but in this moment they were simply human, small lights among infinite stars. Now breathe in again. Let that thought rest gently inside you. The warmth, the music, the scent of oil and dust. They are still here, drifting somewhere within the folds of time. You can almost hear the river hum beneath it all. The festival faded as the night deepened. The lamps floated farther and farther away, until their light was swallowed by distance. But even as the fire dimmed, the people did not mourn. They understood endings are not loss, they are release. Breathe out. Let the air leave your body softly as the lamps left the river. Let go of brightness. Let go of sound. The silence that follows is not empty. It is the memory of every song that was ever sung. And somewhere, far downstream, the lamps of Elam drift on. Tiny hearts of light, still moving toward the sea. Breathe in. Let the air fill you, gentle and slow. Hold it just long enough to feel the stillness beneath your ribs. Now exhale, long, steady, until the sound becomes silence. The festival has ended. The lamps of Susa are drifting far downstream, swallowed one by the dark. The river has become a mirror again, smooth and unbroken. And above it, the night sky opens, vast, endless, a quiet sea of stars. Elam sleeps. Its walls, its temples, its songs, all are wrapped in a hush so complete that even the wind seems to hesitate. From the hills to the coast, the land exhales. The fires cool to ash. The air carries the faint scent of smoke and water and the memory of music. There was a time when travelers from distant lands would describe Elam as a kingdom of light. But even light must rest. Every flame needs darkness to remember its glow. And so, the people, the city, the gods themselves, all turned inward, toward rest. Now let your body follow them. Feel your chest sink gently with each breath. Your legs grow heavy, warm. Your arms float, as though they belong to the river of air flowing around you. The quiet sea is all around. In the days that followed, the roads of Susa grew empty. The market slept beneath woven cloths. The tools of potters, the looms of weavers, the pens of scribes, all paused in stillness. It was not ruin, it was repose. Like fields after harvest, the land simply waited. In that still waiting, a new rhythm emerged, slower, deeper, truer. The heartbeat of the earth itself, once hidden beneath human noise, rose again. Birds nested in the courtyards of forgotten temples. Wildflowers crept between bricks that had once been polished by kings. And the river, that eternal storyteller, whispered on. Close your eyes and listen. Can you hear it? Not the roar of time, but the breath beneath it. The quiet murmur that connects all things. Inhale, the scent of night air and cool stone. Exhale, the weight of centuries that never belonged to you. Far away, beyond the dunes, the gulf lies still. Its waters shimmer like liquid glass, reflecting constellations older than every empire. At its edge, where sand and tide meet, a single clay lamp is washed ashore. Its wick is long gone, its bowl cracked and worn. But when the moonlight touches it, the old glaze shines faintly, as if remembering flame. The sea accepts it, turning it gently in the waves. No loss, no grief, only return. For everything built by hands must one day meet the hands of the earth again. And so Elam became part of the quiet sea. Its stories dissolved into the salt and foam, its memories woven into the rhythm of the tide. Those who came after would find its ruins and wonder who had lived there, never realizing that they were already walking through the dreams of those same souls. Let your thoughts drift as they drifted. Imagine yourself standing at the shore, the wind cool against your face. Behind you lies the desert. Before you, infinity. The waves move toward your feet, then withdraw. The sand hums beneath the water's weight. You breathe with it, in as the tide rises, out as it falls away. Somewhere in that rhythm, the last whisper of Elam remains. It does not speak in words. It hums in patterns of air and tide and starlight. And if you listen closely enough, it feels like breathing. The quiet sea holds everything. The joy, the pride, the mistakes, the prayers. It holds them gently, the way you hold air before letting it go. Now breathe once more. Inhale. Slowly. Let the air brush your heart. Exhale. Longer still. Let the sea take it. You are floating now. Between sky and water, between memory and rest. There's no need to rise, no need to sink. Just drift. The stars above shimmer softly. The waves below sigh in answer. And in between them, you sleep. Io. Breathe in softly. Let the air move through you like a slow wind passing over still water. Hold it for a moment, not to keep it, but to feel its weight. Now, let it go. Let it return to the quiet night from which it came. Above the sleeping valleys of Elam, the stars were patient. They had seen every rise and fall, not just here, but everywhere. The stars did not mourn, and they did not celebrate. They simply remembered. Each spark above Susa's ruins carried the memory of firelight, of hands that once lifted clay from the riverbank, of voices that sang to the gods of water and wind. The stars had watched as people built, dreamed, and drifted away. Now, they watched the silence, and the silence shone. Long after the ziggurats crumbled, travelers crossed this land. They found stones carved with half-forgotten signs, tiny seals pressed with names that no one could pronounce. They held them to the light and wondered who these people were, what dreams they had, what prayers they whispered into the dark. And though they could not hear, the stars remembered every word. Close your eyes and imagine those ruins beneath you now. The sand is cool. The air still smells faintly of river mud and oil. The perfume of an ancient world breathing through time. Each grain of dust has known 1,000 suns. Each breath you take carries the echo of every breath before it. Inhale, slowly. Feel the air of history touch your lungs. Exhale, softly. You are exhaling a memory that began before your name existed. The stars have no boundaries. They shine upon the living and the lost alike. To them, Elam never ended. It simply changed shape, from city to sand, from sand to silence, from silence to light. There are nights when the constellations still align, as they did for the priests of Susa. The same curve of Orion, the same steady pulse of Aldebaran in the east, the same river of stars the Elamites called the path of return. To them, that shimmering band across the sky was the road the soul walked after death, not a journey upward, but inward. Back to the light that lives inside all things. Let your breath follow that road now. Inhale through the path of stars. Exhale through the calm of darkness. Your body softens, your thoughts dissolve, You are floating among constellations, weightless, timeless, unbound. If you could listen here, above the world's noise, you would hear the hum beneath creation. A single tone that never fades. It is the song of everything. The sound of rivers and blood and wind. The sound of clay being shaped. The sound of sleep. Somewhere in that song, the memory of Elam still lingers. Not as sorrow, but as rhythm. A pulse hidden within the heartbeat of the earth. Every rise, every fall, every breath. It all moves to the same pattern. Creation, rest, renewal. And so the stars keep their quiet watch. They look down on us as they look down on them, seeing not difference, but continuation. For to the stars, every human life is a spark, a lamp that burns for a little while, glows softly, then joins the night that gave it birth. You are that lamp now. Your flame small, your warmth infinite. When you breathe, the stars breathe with you. When you close your eyes, they close around you. And in that meeting, the human and the cosmic, the brief and the eternal, there is peace. Breathe once more. In, the glow of starlight. Out, the weight of time. Let go of the need to understand. You are already part of what endures. The night above Susa remains clear. The stars hang like silver fruit over the desert, their light touching the remnants of temples, the tips of reeds, the surface of the quiet river. Everything that ever was, still is, in their memory. In that endless remembering, the story of Elam continues to hum, soft as breath, bright as sleep. Now rest. You are not apart from the stars. You are one of them, a fragment of light. Returning home. Take one more breath in. Let it be the deepest of the night. Feel it travel slowly through your body, like a tide coming home. Now exhale, long and low, until everything inside you begins to quiet. The stars above Elam hang still, watching without judgment. The winds have stopped their wandering. The earth itself seems to rest. This is the sleep of empires. It does not arrive with thunder or grief. It comes like dusk, quietly, inevitably, beautifully. The last fires of Susa have burned down to embers. The ziggurat glows faintly in the moonlight, its terraces softened by sand. A few clay lamps still flicker in doorways, their flames bending toward the ground, whispering to the dust. No one fears this silence. The people who remain know what it means. That every kingdom, no matter how radiant, must one day return to the earth that raised it. The priests place their final offerings. A bowl of grain, a vessel of oil, a sprig of reeds from the river. They bow, not in sorrow, but in gratitude. Behind them, the city sighs. A sound like a long exhale after centuries of breath. Inhale with them now. Feel your chest rise like the quiet swell of the desert wind. Exhale, slow, complete. Let the world settle inside you. Time begins to drift. The walls crumble, the rivers shift. The names fade from clay and memory alike. But beneath it all, a pulse continues. Soft, steady, unending. The sleep of empires is not death. It is the pause between stories, It is the breath the universe takes before it begins again. You can almost hear it now. A low hum beneath everything. A rhythm older than time itself. Breathe in. That is the inhale of creation. Breathe out. That is its release. All things move through this cycle. The stars, the seas, the human heart. The empires that once ruled these plains are dust now. But the dust shines faintly in the moonlight. The stones of Susa glow like sleeping embers. Even silence has its own warmth. A traveler, passing centuries later, finds a single clay lamp buried in the soil. He brushes away the dirt and holds it to the light. Inside the hollow bowl, a trace of ash still clings, the ghost of a flame that once watched over a world. And when the wind passes through it, it hums, a tone so soft it sounds like breathing. That is how empires sleep. Not gone, but transformed. Not forgotten, but remembered by the elements themselves. Let that thought cradle you now. Your body grows heavier, warmer. Your mind becomes light as air. The lamp's glow lingers somewhere inside your chest. Steady and small, the center of everything. You are lying where the city once stood. Beneath you, the earth holds the bones of history. Above you, stars open like flowers. And through you flows the same rhythm that shaped them both. Inhale, through the stars, through the earth, through the endless dark. Exhale, through the silence, through the warmth, through the soft embrace of time. There's nothing left to do, nothing left to become. Only this. Quiet, eternal breathing of the world. In the sleep of empires, every sound becomes a memory. Every memory becomes light. The clay lamp fades, the stars drift on. And Elam, like all things, joins the stillness of forever. Now, rest. Your breath is the river. Your heart is the lamp. Your dreams are the stars above Susa. The night holds you. The past forgives you. The world keeps breathing. And you drift deeper. Beyond memory, beyond thought. Into the gentle sleep where even empires rest. Breathe in and let the air move through you like a tide that has found its home. No effort, no sound, only rhythm. The rhythm of night, the rhythm of rest. The stars above Susa are fading now, their light melting into the first blue hint of dawn. Yet even as they disappear, they do not vanish. They become the sky itself. Somewhere beneath that pale horizon, a single clay lamp still glows within the ruins. Its flame is small, barely alive, but it holds the warmth of every breath that came before. It has burned through centuries of silence, through wind and dust and forgetting. And now, in this last quiet moment, it whispers. All things return to light. You breathe with it. Inhale, and the lamp brightens. Exhale, and the stars answer. Their light folding softly around you. The distance between heaven and earth disappears. There is only stillness, the kind that holds everything gently, the kind that asks nothing at all. This is the place beyond endings, where empires sleep and dreams keep watch, where memory becomes warmth and warmth becomes peace. The river hums below the ruins, carrying the fragments of old songs. The wind moves through the reeds, singing to the dawn and the night, full of stars and echoes, closes its eyes. Breathe once more. In, through time, through silence, through peace. Out, through the body, through the world, through the waiting dawn. The lamp flickers. Its glow touches the sand, the walls, the endless sky, and as it fades, it leaves a single thread of light behind, thin as breath, strong as eternity. Now, let that light rest in your chest. Let it glow quietly as you drift away. No past, no future, only the hush of the present. The stars will keep their memory. The lamp will keep its flame. And the world, gentle, unbroken, will keep breathing for you. Sleep now. Under the ancient sky of Elam, the night watches. The earth remembers. And you are home.